Hello, my name is Lanie and welcome to my half-cast series, Movie Mania. In this, I will go through movie history, explaining and exploring genres, events, and details about many famous movies. Today's edition is music movies. Music and movies go together like peas in a pod. A film score can make or break a movie, but today we're not talking about the scores. This episode will be focused on movies that are based around a type of music, album, or artist. Musicals like Singing in the Rain and My Fair Lady will be excluded from the list, along with documentaries. Let's get started. Elvis Presley stars in the 1957 film Jailhouse Rock. After Presley's character is jailed, he learns to become a musician. After his release, he becomes a famous star, but at what cost? Jailhouse Rock is one exciting film that has an amazing soundtrack provided by Presley. Out of the 31 Elvis movies, this is the one I recommend, so give Jailhouse Rock a chance. A Hard Day's Night, released in 1964, is a fictionalized A Day in the Life starring the highest-grossing musicians of all time, the Beatles. The film takes place over 3 days, having the band prepare for a television show while avoiding fangirls and taking care of Paul McCartney's grandfather. The film was very successful and it perfectly displays the era it was released in. The wonderful soundtrack provided by the Beatles is a great example of their earlier music. Overall, Hard Day's Night is a fun watch for any music fan, not just Beatles fans. This next Beatles film is an animated kids classic. Yellow Submarine, released in 1968, follows the band as they attempt to save the underwater civilization of Pepperland from the Blue Meanies. The movie is considered by many to be an important film in the history of animation. One can understand why, with the movie's colorful atmosphere and creative animation. While the Beatles are not voiced by the band themselves, the film features some of the band's greatest psychedelic songs. Yellow Submarine can be enjoyed by any generation. This next film stars the made-for-TV band The Monkees. 1968's Head is a wild and psychedelic trip, a major deviation from the earlier work of the band. The plot is too far out to explain briefly. Even though this movie was a commercial failure and was ultimately viewed by the stars as a disaster, the film has gained a cult following. The musical performances from the band are great, and in my personal opinion, the soundtrack is one of the best albums by the Monkees. The film Head may not be for everyone, but if you're interested, I recommend you watch it. Tommy, released in 1975, is a rock opera based on the album Tommy by The Who. The film revolves around the title character's life. Tommy becomes deaf, dumb, and blind after a traumatic event in his childhood. Then he learns his true talents, pinball and religious leadership. The film also has an all-star cast, which includes The Who, Elton John, Anne Margaret, Tina Turner, Eric Clapton, and Jack Nicholson. The wild and crazy film is a trip to watch. Tommy is a true rock and roll movie. Pink Floyd The Wall, released in 1982, is a crazy film based on Pink Floyd's spectacular album The Wall. The film revolves around Pink, a rock star slipping into darkness. Many important themes are at play in the film, including death, addiction, and Nazism. The film features classic Pink Floyd tracks such as Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 and Comfortably Numb. The Wall is a dark and disturbing film that twists around the mind. While the film is not for kids and the faint of heart, it is a great music film. In my opinion, this next movie is an 11 out of 10. This is Spinal Tap. It's a 1984 comedy about the made-for-film band Spinal Tap. The film revolves around the title band and their Beatlesque drama. It is a crazy film with an even crazier soundtrack. Spinal Tap even had the Black Album before Metallica. This is Spinal Tap is a cult classic that has remained with audiences years since its release. If you love rock and comedy, you'll love This is Spinal Tap. The film Singles, released in 1992, is not entirely about music, but the 90s Seattle sound plays a key role in the movie. It is a romantic comedy about the lives and relationships of different people living in Seattle. One of the characters, played by Matt Dillon, is a grunge musician. This genre was important to the area at the time. The movie attempts to capture the music of the time by featuring a soundtrack filled with artists of the era. Singles also features appearances and performances from bands such as Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and 3 members of the band Pearl Jam. The soundtrack also features highlights of the era. Singles is a nice romantic comedy with a killer soundtrack. Almost Famous, released in 2000, is a fictional story that describes the 70s rock and roll lifestyle. The film tells the story of a journalist that follows around the fake band Stillwater. The highly awarded film was a bomb at the box office, but it was praised for its performances and inviting nature. The film is famous for its characters such as Penny Lane and important scenes such as the Tiny Dancer sing-along. Almost Famous is considered to be a classic music film. Biopics tell the story of a famous group or musician. These interesting films give viewers more insight into the lives of their favorite musicians. Here are a list of a few standouts. Sid and Nancy from 1986 tells a tragic romance between Sex Pistols member Sid Vicious and his ill-fated girlfriend Nancy Spungen. The 1991 film The Doors revolves around the 60s rock band and the life of Jim Morrison. Selena is a 1997 film that tells the tale of the title character, the famous Tejano singer. The 2007 film Control is a story of Ian Curtis, the lead singer of Joy Division. 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody is about the legendary rock band Queen and their talented lead singer Freddie Mercury. Lords of Chaos, released in 2018, is about the death metal band Mayhem and the dark history that surrounds the group. The story of legendary singer Elton John is the plot of 2019's Rocket Man. The band Motley Crue is the subject of the 2019 film The Dirt. The film Elvis, released in 2022, tells the story of the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Without music, the history of film would be completely different. Many classics have music at the center of their plot, whether they are biopics or fictionalized stories. Movies about music are important to film and society itself. Well, that concludes music movies. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, like and subscribe. If you have any questions or ideas for future topics, comment down below. Click the link for a complete list of films with ratings and reviews. Thanks for watching.